Update 2. At the end of a family lunch, my sister said, "Please don't tag along next week. It'll mess with the vibe." My mom looked away. My dad didn't disagree. I smiled. That night, I canceled the group tour, froze the joint travel card, and removed my name from the trip insurance. At check-in, they were denied entry. My dad called 3 times. Then a message from my brother, "We can't board." "What did you do?" I texted back, "She actually said it." He showed up an hour later. No warning, no delay. Just knocked like he'd done it 1,000 times before, though he hadn't been to my apartment in over a year. He was dressed the way he always dressed when he wanted to look casual but put together, clean sneakers, tucked-in polo, the watch I bought him 2 Christmases ago, and never saw him wear until now. He didn't sit at first, just stood inside the doorway holding a small folder in one hand. No gift, no coffee, no mom. That part mattered. We sat in the kitchen. He didn't ask for anything. Just rested his hands on the table and looked at me for a second before he started. "I didn't realize it had gone that far," he said. "I thought you enjoyed planning things, that you liked being the go-to. That helping out made you feel important, included, that it was your thing, like cooking was Claire's or complaining was Eric's." I waited. Then he said it. "We stopped asking if you were okay with any of it." He told me that after the airport incident, the mood shifted fast. Claire was blaming him, Eric was blaming Claire, Mom was blaming herself quietly, like she does. No one wanted to take the hit, but none of them could deny that I'd been holding the trip, and a lot of things, together for a long time. Then he did something that caught me off guard. He apologized. Not in a sweeping, dramatic way. No begging, no guilt-tripping, just a quiet, direct, "I'm sorry we put so much on you and acted like you owed it to us." He said that seeing me cut off Eric's rent was the wake-up call because he hadn't even realized I was still paying it. He thought that it ended a while ago. When I told him it never did, he went quiet for a moment, then said, "That's on me, too." And then he handed me a folded piece of paper. It wasn't a letter. It was a rent receipt. He had paid Eric's rent himself. I told him it was time he figured it out. And if he couldn't, it wasn't your job to carry it anymore. I looked at the receipt longer than I needed to. Because in our family, that wasn't just a receipt. That was a shift. It was the first time my dad picked up something I'd quietly been expected to hold for years, not because I'd asked, not because he was forced, but because he finally saw it. He stood up to leave. Said he wasn't expecting me to forgive or forget overnight, that he just wanted me to know someone heard me. That maybe the rest would come later. Before he walked out, he paused and said, "You were never just the one without a family. You're part of ours, and we're going to fix how we show it." He left, and I didn't say anything. I just stood there with the receipt in one hand and the weight of something lighter in the other. I didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time in years, I actually believed something might change. The next day, Claire showed up unannounced. I almost didn't answer the door. I saw her through the peephole, standing there with a paper bag in one hand and her phone in the other, like she was still deciding if she should be doing this. For a second, I considered pretending I wasn't home. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door. She didn't say anything at first, just held up the bag and said, "It's from that deli you like. Turkey and Swiss." She hated that place. Said everything tasted like napkins. But she brought it anyway. I let her in. She didn't even take off her sunglasses. Just sat down at the kitchen table like she was trying to shrink into herself. I didn't sit right away. Just leaned against the counter and waited. "You were right to be pissed," she said finally. "I was a jerk. I said something awful because I was mad at Brian and felt like I had to be the one holding everything together again. And you were an easy target." I raised an eyebrow. That was a new one. She didn't flinch. "You always were the safe one. The one who'd still show up, who'd still pay for stuff, still plan things." Then she looked up at me for the first time and said something I hadn't expected to hear in my lifetime. "I knew you'd take the hit, and I did it anyway." I sat down. She went on, said that after they got denied at the airport, she and Mom didn't speak for the whole first night. Eric blamed her. Mom blamed herself. Dad didn't say a word. The kids were confused and cranky. And Brian made it worse by saying, "Well, at least Henry won't be around to sulk." She said that was when she realized just how much I'd been holding together without ever saying a word about it. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper, slid it across the table toward me. It was a check, $1,400. For the last 2 trips, maybe 3. I don't even know anymore. She said it like someone trying to make a dent in a debt they didn't know they had until it was too big to name. She didn't ask me to forgive her. Didn't ask me to cash it. Just said, "I wanted to show you I'm done pretending this stuff doesn't matter." Then she added something that caught me completely off guard. "I don't want my kids to think you're the uncle who pays for things. I want them to know you're part of us and that we treated you like crap and we're trying to undo it." That was the first time anyone in my family said it that plainly. She stood up to leave and paused at the door. "Eric's been quiet. I think he's embarrassed. I don't know if he'll say it, but he knows he messed up. Bad." And then she said, "You should know, Dad made us sit down and go over everything. The money, the trips, everything you've done. He laid it all out. Even brought receipts. I've never seen him do that." She left without waiting for a reaction. I sat at the table for a long time just staring at the check. I didn't even open the sandwich. Later that night, I texted in the family group chat for the first time in months. No jokes, no memes, just, "We need to talk. All of us. It'll be at my place. You'll listen first." I expected a pause, but the replies came fast. Eric was first. "Okay." Then Mom, "We'll be there." Then Claire, "Just tell us when." And finally, Dad, "I'll make sure everyone shows up." It wasn't everything, but it was the first time they didn't try to dodge it. No deflections, no excuses. That's when I realized they were scared to lose me now. And maybe finally, that meant they were ready to keep me the right way. They showed up on time, not staggered like usual. No last-minute texts about traffic or detours, no running 5 behind from Claire or I'll join in later from Eric. They were all outside my apartment building, 5 minutes early, standing there like people about to walk into a meeting they couldn't reschedule. I buzzed them in without saying anything. They walked in one by one. Claire looked nervous, like she was trying to appear casual but couldn't quite pull it off. Mom had a Tupperware container with banana bread. She didn't offer to leave. Eric gave me a nod and nothing else. Dad looked me in the eye and asked where to sit. I pointed to the living room. No one tried to make small talk. I didn't offer drinks. I didn't ask how the kids were. I got right to it. I'm not your backup plan, I said. Not your safety net. Not the one who's expected to pay because he doesn't have kids or he can afford it. I'm not a resource. I'm your brother, your son, your family, and I've been treated like an accessory. I let that sit for a second. No one jumped in to defend themselves, which was already different. I paid for 3 vacations in the last 2 years, I said. I paid for Eric's rent, for Claire's flights, for tour packages no one remembered to thank me for. And then when I was excluded from something I built, something I spent my time and money on, not one of you said a word. You let Claire say it, you let me smile through it, and you all looked away. Claire was staring at the floor now. Mom looked like she wanted to cry, but was holding herself back. Dad didn't flinch.